Hey there, welcome to Synth Seeker. My name is Luke. Today we are taking a little side trip. I've been doing a lot of one synth videos lately, and we're going to take a break this week. And what I wanted to do was talk about the Matriarch and the Modular. So I've bought into Modular many times at great expense, and then sold it, and then bought back in, and then sold it. I think I've done 3 cycles now. And what I'm sort of heading to is as if you've been watching the other videos or checking in from time to time, I'm moving towards driving my collection to a keyboard-based collection. So anything with, got to have at least 4 octaves, flagships or large, sort of older school style stuff, getting rid of a bunch of desktop modules, things like that. And the Matriarch is sort of the last remaining semi-modular that I have, and I'm going to hold on to it. But I did want to have an opportunity, give it an opportunity to interact with Modular to a degree, but I don't want to buy into Modular to the extent I have in the past. And so I've constrained it with an enclosure, of 6 or 7 U here, and I've been putting things back in here that had been sitting in my closet, things I hadn't sold yet. And I'm slowly buying back in on certain things. And so what I want to do today was play that little bit of music at the beginning, sort of Berlin School / space music, cosmic rock, and then do a little breakdown of how I built that out and talk about some new modular additions and what they're used for. You might be interested in them. I'm not reviewing modules, but I'm going to give you my opinion on why I picked a couple of these things. So call this a very rare video where I'm going to give my motivations for buying very specific Eurorack modules. Anyway, so let's break down this patch and talk about how it works, and we'll talk about the modules in line as we do that. Everything you're hearing is being processed from the Matriarch. It's running from the Matriarch to outs into the interface directly into the recording software. I'm not using Ableton. There are no external effects. There's no effects happening in the box. Barring YouTube's compression, everything you hear is what I'm hearing exactly in my headphones, which are plugged in right here. So I just wanted to be clear. There's no reverb. There is a delay. We're using the Matriarch's very nice internal stereo delay. But other than that, and there is a module in here called the Stereo Strip from DivKid. I partnered with someone who I cannot recall. That is applying a little bit of EQ, a little bit of a smile, some high-end, a tiny bit of low-end bump. And that's running both into my headphones and directly into the mix. So what's happening here? There's 3 sort of voices here. I'll play them one at a time. We have the Matriarch. And the delay. All right, so the Matriarch's being processed by the delay. And I've ride the attack, so sometimes it's slow. Right, and it's as basic as it gets. Like for Berlin School, for space music, right? You don't need a lot of highly complex timbres. They're nice to have, and there's nothing wrong with adding them. But this is just 4 sawtooths, right? Spread across 3 octaves. And with some just basic low-pass filtering. Tiny bit of resonance. And the sort of bleeps and bloops you were hearing earlier, sort of in the middle of that little noodle at the beginning, is just the resonance up full. Right? And I've got the LFO, when I bring the LFO mod up, then I ride the LFO speed. And you can right, that sweep of a very resonantly set filter through the delay is like classic space. Right, so if you were wondering how to get that effect, that's how you do it. It's pretty simple. Let's turn our resonance back down here. So that's sort of the first layer of our voice. I work in layers, right? The second layer is this oscillator here. This is a Virt Iter Legio from Noise Engineering. It's a digital stereo oscillator. It's set on its the SAW-X algorithm, and that SAW-X algorithm is actually around a lot of places. I believe the Arturia Micro Freak has a SAW-X algorithm. A bunch of things, either, I don't know if they gave it away to the public domain or to the open source community, or if people have been licensing it from them. But this algorithm appears in a lot of other synths out there, and it sounds like this. Hang on one second. And this is perfect for if you like that Jean-Michel Jarre sort of ensemble strings sound. And I think what makes it is the Legio has internally a built-in chorus. So here it is dry. It's really simple. It's like a Roland chorus. It has 3 settings. Well, 0, 1, and 2. That's 0. This is 1. Gives it a little stereo separation. And then 2 is this ensemble, which is, to me, that just screams Jean-Michel Jarre, you know. So when we layer that on top of the Matriarch, I really like that. Just works for me. And then our sort of third and final voice is Braids. So Mutable Instruments Braids, really old sort of module. It's been released to the community. This is a micro braids made from Tall Dog. That's I'll talk about that in a bit, but it's basically playing a little super saw patch that's being driven by a sequencer. So that in combination with the delay is, again, like the sound of space music. We'll talk about sequencing in harmonic control in a minute, but those are the 3 layers, right? So if I bring them all back up. Yeah, so those are the 3 layers. Matriarch, a little Braids, a little Virt Iter Legio, right? And so the Braids is being arped, the Legio is following the Matriarch, and the Matriarch is just available for playing. Let's talk about clocking and pitch CV, all right? So the clock is just the standard clock on the Matriarch coming out of it. I had to tweak a setting in it so the clock is always running. By default on the Matriarch, the clock out only runs when you hold a key down, but I want it running all the time. That's just a setting in the Vulkan Nerve Pinch menu you do. What is it? Hold, sync enable, starts flashing, press the keys, set it. RTFM. But the clock comes out of there, it gets multed, and right now it's being sent to this sequencer, which is an IntelliGel Metropolix. This is probably one of my favorite sequencers. There are two of them here. I haven't incorporated the second voice. I've got another Braids and a Metropolix here that are going to we'll continue to build this system out over the next few weeks. But the clock from the Matriarch is always running. It's being split. It's driving the Metropolix. It will drive the others. I can use it by breaking it out and subdividing it or multiplying it to drive other things should I need to in the future. So I'm leaving it a fairly open-ended system. And a copy of that clock is also running over here to, this is a clone of a monome teletype. And I'll get to that. It's basically a sequencer brain utility tool of all trades. But the clock is basically very simple from the Matriarch to be distributed where needed. All right. And then the keyboard CV is coming out of the Matriarch, also getting multed. In case you're curious, the mult is an Erica Synths. I think this is black. It doesn't say black on the panel, but it's their mult, which I think it's from the black line. It's very good. It's a precision adder, so it can add plus or minus 12 volts as well to do octave shifts. But I'm just using it as a mult. But the CV is coming out of there, and a copy of the pitch CV from the keyboard is running over to the Virt Iter Legio, right? So the Legio is tracking what the Matriarch's doing. So just very basic. It's just an extra layer. I'm using a little mixer here to bring it in and out. And so we've got a copy of our keyboard CV heading over there. Another copy of our pitch CV is running over into this teletype. Let's talk about this. It's the Baudot from Karmic Audio Solutions, which the monome company, Brian Crabtree and Kelly Kane, they no longer make the teletype. But it is released to the open source. You could certainly build one for a few $100. It's pretty, a lot of people do that. You can build it. There's a shield that you can, they used to sell the shield. I don't know if they still sell it, but you can certainly build it. And there are third parties who also build it. It's very reliable. Like this one from Karmic Audio, I can't tell. I've owned a monome teletype in the past. I can't tell the difference between this one and that one other than the screen printing. It seems to be completely identical. And I'm super OCD about tolerances for voltages and stuff. So I spent a long time. I had some weirdness happening, and it was like, is it a problem here, or is it a problem in the Matriarch's keyboard to CV voltage? And it was in the Matriarch's keyboard voltage. Like, if you want to measure voltages, this is a roundabout way to do it, but it is very precise. Anyway, this thing acts like a brain. It can do a lot of things. It can be a tracker, if you like tracker-based stuff. It can be a sequencer. It can be, if you like the Rene from Make Noise, if you like a Cartesian style sequencer, it can do that. A lot of things. The idea behind it is again, I build systems, and I build systems of systems. And this is an open-ended system building tool. The way I'm using it right now is the clock that's being distributed from the Matriarch is coming over here, and the clock's feeding into this. And what's happening is every time a clock tick pulses in the teletype, I'm going to call this the teletype instead of the Baudot, I'm sorry, Karmic Audio Systems. Every time a clock pings here, I have a very small script. I'll throw it up on the screen. You can't see it from the camera, I'm sure. A very simple script here. You can connect a keyboard to this and literally type in little programs using its proprietary programming language that's entertaining. If you're in the software development, their programming language for this thing is super fun and funny. It's very entertaining. All the operators are done in reverse Polish notation and stuff like that. It's like using an old HP calculator. It's a riot. But basically what I've done is I've written a 2-line script that fires every time a clock pulse comes in. And I'm also feeding it the voltage from, my brain's not working. I'm feeding it the voltage from the Matriarch, all right? And it's actually, I'm actually using an additional add-on. This, you can't see it, it's like stealth black and completely matte. This is a module from Monom called the Crow, which is a sort of multi-function. Again, they build open system tools. So this is a tool you could use for a lot of things. I'm using it as a CV input. The Teletype has a CV input on it, but Eurorack's CV for pitch is 0 to 10 volts, but Moog's is -5 to 5 volts, I believe. And so feeding a negative voltage, pitch voltage to the Teletype, just anything below 0 registers as 0. You can use the Crow extension module which does understand negative voltages for pitch. And so I'm feeding that into the Crow, which is feeding it into the Teletype, but effectively I'm feeding it to the Teletype. And so every time a clock fires here, this script executes and it says, what's the current pitch? So like, what key am I holding down? And then it quantizes that into semitones and then does a modulus operation on it to just determine which semitone offset from 0 it is. So it doesn't matter if I play a low C or a high C, it sends out, I'm playing C. And it doesn't matter if I play, you know, a low A or high A, it will send out, I'm playing A. And that voltage is coming out of the Teletype. It's basically, I'm using it as a translator. It's translating my key presses into what's the harmonic information about the key I'm pressing. Right? And it sends that over, and I'm sending that into the X input on the Metropolix, which I have got set up in the Metropolix to be assigned to pitch pre. Pitch pre is where should I shift this sequence that's running harmonically before I apply any of the other, you know, sequence pitching or ratcheting or anything to it. So basically, if you've ever watched any of my other videos where I talk about global transposition, this is yet another way that I like to do global transposition. I like to have my sequencers and the other parts of the musical system I build follow what I'm playing, all right? And I'm constrained in that I've only got one keyboard here. Sometimes I use an external, you know, like a launch pad or something, or I'll use 2 keyboards, and one will be the sort of harmonic control keyboard. The other one's for playing the performance. I've sort of combined it down so that one keyboard on the Matriarch represents both my harmonic performance, but the Teletype is extracting the harmonic compositional information. What note am I playing? And then feeding that over into the Metropolix. And the Metropolix is then transposing diatonically, like to keep it in key, the sequence that's running. And I can apply that to anything else I add to the system. The Teletype is, again, it's open-ended and it's just voltages, right? So, and I'm only using one of the 8 available script slots. I'm not using the tracker. I'm not using the Cartesian sequencer or the table or anything like that. So, like, I have a lot of horizon to expand into, and I've still got some gaps in here, right? So there are efficiencies to be had. But for what you're hearing here, actually, let me do this. Let me turn off everything except this. So that's the sequence. It's playing on a D, which is what I'm holding down. So the D is coming out of the Matriarch into the Teletype. Teletype is extracting, oh, he's holding a D. It's sending it over to the Matrix, to the Metropolix, and saying, hey, play the sequence as though the root note was a D. Right? And so if I play other notes, this sequence will follow. And it doesn't matter if I play a high D or a low D. right? The control, like what octave it's in, is actually controlled by this knob on the sequencer. So I can say, right? So when I bring in the Matriarch, and I bring in the Virt Iter Legio for that sort of Jean-Michel Jarre string, and so all I have to do from a performance perspective is play in time with the sequencer, right? Now, there are other layers that I plan on adding to this. The sequencers are capable of resetting appropriately on things like release of a key, or I could have it sync to a drum part. We can sync it to like Ableton Link so that the downbeats are always synchronized. It's capable of resetting on a smart relative downbeat as well across the sequencers, and the Teletype is capable of doing that, at least programmatically. Anyway, so that's where we're at. Okay, so the Matriarch is going to evolve out into using aspects of the modular, and this is where I'm at. This is called this stage 1, and we'll see where it goes. Oh, just a shout out to the guys on the Discord. They suggested, I was like, I need like a relatively compact but interesting envelope generator. And there's a bunch of suggestions, and I want to buy all of them. But the one that was simple yet broad, they were all good. But the one I landed on was the Zadar from Chaos Devices. This is a very nice quad envelope generator slash LFO slash function generator. I want to explore some of the others as well. But as far as cost, it's moderately priced, and it's very functional, and it's perfect for what I need. I needed just a bog standard envelope generator. This will do that without any reading the manual or magical stuff. It's like, okay, I could slap it in, it works, that's fine. I have not focused on its sort of deeper qualities. And the other suggestions, thank you very much. I will look at those as well. Those are all candidates for future expansion. But this is a really slick envelope generator. So if you're looking for something, and it's been around for a while, if you're looking for something that just has both, I need envelopes, but also has, I need envelopes that I can do weird things with, this is just a knob turn away to some really bizarre shapes. Anyway, and if you like system building, consider the Metropolix as a sequencer. It's definitely got the underlying modulation capabilities of the Metropolix are very significant. You can build an entire system of systems inside the Metropolix by itself. And the Teletype is, if you really want to fall off the deep end into system building, go check out the Mono Teletype. All their documentation is up, so you can read. That's the documentation for all the clones and stuff. So if you just want to go read about it, if you're a software engineer and you like weird programming languages, go look at the operator list for the Teletype. It's super, super entertaining. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for spending time with me. You know, as always, thanks for watching Synth Seeker. I appreciate it, and I will talk to you later. Have a good one.